Once again, it is time for Built for Success, presented by Ram Trucks.
Come
and we're
on.
looking at the 8-9 matchup that very much has our focus in the CFP. Tennessee is visiting Ohio State. The Vols have been rolling since the November loss to Georgia. Meanwhile, the Buckeyes are trying to get the taste of a season-ending loss to Michigan
A couple of non-tasty morsels
out of their mouths. The
Right,
winner
hey,
of this
spit it
game gets
out.
to face number 1 overall seed Oregon, and that game would be in the
Jeremiah,
Rose Bowl.
no.
But you gotta beat Tennessee to get there
Yeah.
if you're Ohio State.
Not going to be easy.
No, it's not going to be. But it's going to be freezing as
be
well.
awful. Yeah.
Let's welcome in Spencer Hall from the comfy confines of, well, Spencer Hall. So we're an academic building down there in the ATL. Spencer, 16-degree kickoff, I think, in Columbus, Ohio for this thing. Boys from Tennessee are coming north. How, if at all, will the cold affect this game?
It will make everyone in the stadium cold. That's it. That's all I feel comfortable saying. And that's because a lot of the players that you see on Ohio State's roster are not from Ohio. There is no natural antifreeze you get in your blood simply by traveling to the state of Ohio. I'm sorry to inform Big Ten supremacists of this, but football's football. And to quote Michael Irvin, when we played in that cold, we was cold. That's it. Everybody's just going to be freezing.
So is there one sideline or the other that's better equipped? Like, do you look at Tennessee and say, all right, maybe that speed travels just like, anything would, or is it just, hey, everybody's going to be cold?
I would say that if you were looking at style of play, Ohio State is more disadvantaged by the cold because I hate to inform everyone, Tennessee is a power run team with a defensive line.
Yeah,
that's it. They are a brutal team to play. They are not the same team you saw with Hendon Hooker. They are a team that is a line of scrimmage team first that has a freshman quarterback that they kind of work around. Nico Iamaleava is a work in progress. You will be able to see that. Unlike Ohio State, their offensive line is largely intact. I think that counters a lot of the advantages that Ohio State has. Ohio State's big advantage is on defense. So if I'm looking at what this game is going to be, if the cold is a factor at all, it's going to make each team really focus on their strengths, which are already the defensive line, the defense overall, and whoever can get the run game. And I do have to point out, Tennessee has an advantage in the run game here because Ohio State's offensive line has been banged up and ineffective in that department.
All right, Spencer, the way you've sort of constructed this pie, it sounds like, by all indications, Nico Iamaleava's impact on it is going to be but a slight sliver. Is that how you see this playing out? Is that how it has to play out if Tennessee is going to go on the road and score more points on an Ohio State defense that absolutely shut down the Big Ten this year on that side of the football?
I'm going to use $10 and buy a cliche here. Points will be at a premium. Points will be at a premium, and the quarterback who makes the fewest mistakes will likely end up on the winning side. And I say that both for Nico Iamaleava and for Will Howard because at times he has been pressured, at times he's delivered, and at times, like in the Oregon game, has not delivered. He's been inconsistent. And by the way, when a quarterback is inconsistent or somewhat limited, look around. It's not necessarily on the quarterback. Team sport, especially when you have a guy whose performance depends on at least 5 large men over 300 pounds being able to consistently block for him and to have a run game that will protect him. Like Ohio State fans, I think, could be very hard on him. But has he had the protection that he's had, not just in the pass game, but in terms of the threat of a run game? He hasn't, and Ohio State's running backs, I think, have largely been failed by, circumstance, injury, and a lack of execution along that offensive line.
I mean, that's a tough trio to overcome. But I mean, you look at Travion Henderson and Quinton Judkins, it's like they were supposed to be not even thunder and lightning, just like thunder and thunder, like all season for Ohio State. It just hasn't happened. So I want to go back to Will Howard and what you said about inconsistency in big spots. So I might be asking you an impossible question. Essentially, which Will Howard are we going to see? Like, forecasting the matchup against what Tennessee presents defensively, how do you expect Will Howard to play?
I think Will Howard is going to be under pressure consistently. And I think that means you'll get a little bit of both because this offense does not have the option to sit back and just run the ball. They cannot do that. So they're going to need to get the ball to the strength of this offense, which is the receivers. Will Howard at times has been very good. At times he has pressed. If he manages to just take what they give him, and I think you've seen Chip Kelly do this in terms of play calling, Give him easy reads, give him some comeback, give him a little bit of play action when they can do it, and give him some easy throws and move him around a little bit to escape that pressure and start getting some momentum early in terms of offensive play calling and in terms of confidence. Those things, they don't necessarily show up on the stat sheet, but they're very real, and they're going to be especially real because I think this is a tense home crowd, y'all. I know it's going to be a supportive home crowd, but there's going to be some tension there. I know that some people have said this is the game that gets Ryan Day fired. No, but it's definitely a game where you say, we are going to start a discussion. We're going to have a referendum. We're going to have an uncomfortable conversation about whether you enjoy this job, whether it's working for you or not.
Okay, so you've brought us to that question, and based on what you just said, I think we know what answer you're going to go with, but why shouldn't Ryan Day lose his job if he's presented with yet another big game on a monumental stage for Ohio State and doesn't win it, a la all these times that he's lost to Michigan and a la all these times he's yet to bring a national championship to Columbus, which that is the only currency that they want to cash?
Mostly because of this. You can't see it. This is my hands. I don't have to go to the thumb, I believe, in order to count the number of losses he's had as a head coach. As you point out, 3-0 all time at home versus SEC programs. Got them in the playoff, all right? Double-digit wins consistently. They have one thing they can't get over, and it's this current version of the Michigan Wolverines football team. That's really it. That's the thing that's stopping them from moving any further, and where they're at is already like the penthouse. They're just not quite on the roof. And the question for me, right, I think we look at this kind of backwards, right? Because I know Ohio State football doesn't need a single coach. They don't. They're consistently incredible. They pick a good coach, he becomes great. They pick a great coach, then they become a legend. Institutionally, they'll be fine. The question I have is for Ryan Day. Dude, do you want to live this? Do you want to go to the grocery store every single day with somebody asking you when you're going to beat Michigan? Is this working for you? That would be the question I would have. So if you say he's coaching for his job, I would say, yeah, but in a sense that is this what you want to be? Is this the kind of pressure you want to enjoy? Because I think he's a good football coach. I think he can be a good and happy football coach somewhere else. I know that's rare. We're considering someone's personal happiness when doing this, but that would be the question I would ask.
What a novel concept.
Spencer Hall putting Ryan Day in the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, right? Yeah.
And East Carolina's new head ball coach.
He'll
love Greenville, man. Correct. They got Cookout. They got Biscuitville. All right, Spencer, who wins this thing? Who wins, Tennessee or Ohio State?
Ooh. I am going to go ahead because they are at home, and only because they are at home. I am going to take Ohio State, and that's mostly because I think Ohio State defensively, they're going to carry this one forward. I think it is going to be this. If Tennessee won, I'm like 51-49 on this, and it's only because of the home situation. Okay. It is a razor thin margin here. Okay, so I will take Ohio State by like an eyelash.
Points are at a premium. And the winner, again, it gets number 1 overall seed, the number 1 team in the country, Oregon. That is Spencer Hall. Thank you, Spencer.
Thanks, y'all.